Are we going to full sweep? Are we going to full sweep? I had my own special edition of Taco Tuesday today. Release a new pick for you guys for free on Twitter for every 50 likes. And these were the 6 picks. Donovan Mitchell, more than 35 PRA, 35.5 PRA. That hit. Bam Adebayo, more than 8 rebounds. That hit. Jaren Jackson Jr. over 7 rebounds. That hit, I think, at halftime. Dylan Brooks over his assist. Hit. Porzingis over first half fantasy score. You better believe that hit. And right now, we got Draymond early on in the second quarter. He has about 15 fantasy score. Please come through for the full sweep. That would be amazing. Been on fire on prize picks lately. And if we full sweep on Twitter again, I don't know. It's been in a great run over there. So, yeah. Like for good luck. Let's get it. Let's get the full sweep. And, yeah. All right. Let's recap DFS. So, I have no comment for Chetty Osman and his minutes tonight. The Cavs have 5.5 active bodies. Literally. He's been playing 20 minutes a night with everyone healthy. No Jared Allen. No Isaac Okoro. Why not 10 minutes? Right? No one played him. No one played him. How did the faders know? How did you know? He's projected for high 20s minutes everywhere across the industry. That's what I thought he was going to play too. They had no active players. Fantastic matchup. No one played him. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I think they played Diakate more than him. So my question is, again, how did the faders know? And there's no one that runs worse. Right? No one. I just don't understand, man. I stack the Cavs, and I just get punished with no minutes for Chetty Osman. Mitchell at no ownership, smash. Mobley, smash. I go to Kai Jones over Nick Richards, smash. Tyus Jones, free square, was actually a little bit of a letdown. And then I have 2 guys in the late game with Ingram and Jonas Valanciunas. But, yeah, it's probably not going to cash unless those late guys go crazy. I just want to know, how did the Chetty faders know? And number one, can we talk about the Hornets, man? You actually can't do that. You actually cannot rule out a player after lock. That actually can't happen. So if you played like Mikhailuk or Maladon, let me know the lotto numbers, right? There's just no way. There's just no way. Just annoying. Just an annoying slate for DFS purposes. But I'm hoping to get that full sweep on prize picks. That would be great. So, before we do get into the 10-game slate, which we have $1 million up top, by the way, $3,000 entry. Don't think I'll be pulling the trigger on that. I guess you never know. But yeah, the sponsor, guys, is Prize Picks. Like I said, been on fire lately. You can use the code DKDFS for 100% match up to $100. Make sure to follow me on Twitter below. I'll be giving out some picks there. And if you're looking for premium content for Prize Picks or DFS, you can check out my Patreon, also linked in the description. Okay, so let's talk about this 10-gamer. We'll start off Milwaukee. Basically going to be fully healthy. I mean, Giannis and Middleton expected back. Ingles is questionable. Jay Crowder's out. But that's not really huge news. Assuming Giannis and Middleton both play, I guess actually Middleton's questionable. I thought for sure I saw he was probable. If Middleton does miss, then that changes things a little bit. Then Giannis looks a bit more appealing. Drew Holiday becomes a pretty good play. And then if Ingles is out, then you can maybe start making the argument for guys like Connaughton and Ingles. Or Connaughton and Crowder. I mean, Carter, I think, is too expensive there at $5K. So that's pretty significant. If Middleton's in, then I would say it's probably just Giannis that I'm interested in. So let's move on to the Pacers. Pacers, you do have Buddy Hield available. Halliburton out. Miles Turner questionable. So we kind of know what to do here with Miles Turner if he's out, right? It's going to be Isaiah Jackson and Jalen Smith splitting the center position. Jackson had a good game in 24 minutes last game. Jalen Smith was a little bit quiet. I think both look pretty similar. Both would be still solid options, in my opinion. But with Hield available, like these guys like Nemhard and Mathurin, Nwora, Naismith all look a little bit worse. I think my favorite play if with Halliburton out is McConnell off the bench. I expect him to play high 20s minutes. and be super productive when he's on the court. So I still like McConnell. Still have interesting guys like Nembhard, Hield, Mather, and Noir. I think Noir will get some ownership. He didn't play in the blowout last game, but yeah. Burner News would open up again. Jackson and Jalen Smith. Miami, New York. So we'll keep an eye on the stats of Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy Butler's in, not a ton here. If Jimmy Butler's out, it really boosts the appeal of Bam and Hero. Both smashed tonight in a bad matchup. 7-7 for Bam, 6-5 for Hero. Both will look really good. And the group of value of guys like Strus and Martin and Love and Lowry and Oladipo would all be playable. Oladipo got the surprise start after getting he hasn't played in like a couple weeks, so he got dusted off and put in the starting lineup, which is something I did not expect. But yeah, that group of value plays would all look a bit better. Kind of would come down to ownership for me if I was going to play one. Strus really struggled from the field, which is always possible with him. He doesn't make his shots. So we'll see if one of these guys gets a lot of ownership. If Jimmy Butler's out, then I'll probably just fade and look to another one if I'm going to play one at lower ownership. For the Knicks, you got Brunson's status up in the air. If Brunson plays, I'm just going to stay away from this team. If Brunson misses, I think you can make the argument for the main guys. However, prices are up a bit. Awful matchup. So I think Randall, Quickly, and Barrett would still be viable options if Brunson's in, or Brunson's out, I should say. But if Brunson's in, it's a complete stay away from me. Grimes has played well last couple games with Brunson out. I'll let the Fish chase him. He had an outlier game he kind of crushed in the blowout. Robinson and Hartenstein, they're going to split the center position. More just secondary values. Houston, Brooklyn. So this game looks relatively appealing because you got two teams that run pretty tight rotations right now. So for the Rockets, I like KPJ, I like Green, I like Şengün in tournaments. I expect KPJ and Jalen Green to play high 30s, close to 40 minutes if the game stays competitive. Şengün should play, around 30-ish minutes. He'll be productive when he's on the court, but there are times where he doesn't close. Jabari Smith had a big game last game, but he's someone I get to usually when Şengün is out. Cajun Martin, Tari Eason, these guys, Martin should play low 30s minutes. Tari Eason continues to play, kind of mid 20s minutes in competitive games, gets extended a bit if the game blows out. He's productive, so I do have a little bit of interest in him. I'm not going to mess with anyone else, though, on this team. For Brooklyn, fantastic matchup. Ben Simmons is done for the year. I like the main guys here. Bridges, Dinwiddie especially. Dinwiddie had an awful game, 0-11 last game, and Bridges went absolutely crazy at no ownership. Mentioned I liked Bridges last slate for GPPs. It'll be interesting to see what the ownership is between these two. For example, if everyone's just going to chase Bridges because the last big game, I'm fine playing Dinwiddie for lower ownership, but I can't tell you what it's going to be. We don't have the projections out. I'm making this video right now at 10 p.m. at night, so I like both of them. But, for example, if one gets a lot more ownership than the other, then, I might be willing to go to the other one in tournaments. Nick Claxton, I expect to play around 30 minutes. I'm fine with him at 7K. Cam Johnson should play in a competitive game, low 30s minutes, so he's reasonable. Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith kind of split the power forward position. Day'Ron Sharpe will play the backup 5. He'll be productive. I think we'll probably find better value. Joe Harris, Seth Curry, they'll probably be in the rotation, but I don't think I'm going to mess with them. Dallas and Philly, kind of tough for me to get to anyone on Dallas. If you want to take shots in Luka or Kyrie in tournaments, be my guest. The minutes are way down on Wood. I really don't see anything here. I guess if Kleba's out and Embiid plays, you might need Dwight Powell to play a good amount. I don't think they'll want to play Wood, but I just don't even think I can stomach playing Dwight Powell. So let's move on to Philadelphia. Embiid, Harden, both questionable, so this changes everything for them, right? If they're both in, I think it's mainly just the top two, assuming no limitations. If they're both out, then we start looking at guys like Maxey, Harris, Melton. Maxey's been playing out of his mind recently. Again, he's the guy with the highest ceiling. Harris and Melton should play 30-plus minutes if the game stays competitive. Shake would most likely see low to mid-20s minutes on the bench be a reasonable value. Last game, someone asked me in the Discord who I preferred at the center position. They started Dedmon. I said I preferred Paul Reed because he's the better point per minute guy. Well, Paul Reed only played 17 minutes, won for 34 fancy points, while Dedmon started and only won for 8 fancy points. So if there's no Embiid, I don't really care who starts. I just think Paul Reed would be my favorite of the bigs because whatever minutes he's going to be out there, he'll be very productive. I don't think I'll mess with the wings, though, if both Harden and Embiid are out. Guys like Niang or McDaniels or Tucker or House. That's pretty disgusting, in my opinion. Lakers and Bulls, kind of tough for me to get to anyone. The Lakers, too. AD probable, D'Lo probable. LeBron questionable, but I expect him to play. The Lakers need to win games, so don't think LeBron will play full minutes. Anthony Davis at 10-6 with LeBron most likely in. D'Lo's priced up. Reeves is priced up. There's really nothing here for me for the Lakers. I guess if LeBron's out, then I have some interest in AD. Then I have some interest in D'Lo and Reeves, but I'm expecting LeBron James to play. For the Bulls, they also need to win games right now. I think the main three guys look pretty good. DeRozan, Levine, Vooch. It's the same thing I always say, though. It's all right, well, which one is it going to be? who's going to have the really big game. So if I ever do play one of these main guys on a big slate, it's usually going to be a guy that, will be the lowest owned of the bunch. So like if one's getting way more ownership than the other, like I would just prefer the lower owned options because I think they all look very similar, as I always do. So they're always similar price. Like, yeah, I have interest in all three. I like the upside in all three. If this game is competitive, one of those guys probably smashes. Caruso status is questionable. If he misses, more run for guys like Beverly and Kobe White and Io and Pat Williams. However, a lot of those guys are priced up to the point where I probably can't do it. 4.8K for Beverly. I mean, if you want to go there for a revenge narrative, fine. Drummond, he'll play the backup 5. He'll play whatever Vooch does not play. He'll be productive when he's on the court. But, yeah, that's the Bulls. All right, Detroit OKC. Matchup of, Detroit definitely taking Oklahoma City. I don't think they want to make the playoffs, but I guess I will see. So they said SGA. It doesn't sound like they want to make the playoffs. Starting lineup, you should get a starting lineup of Hayes, Ivy, Livers, Bagley, and Wiseman. Ivy had the big game last game, but he's priced at 7-2. I think more of a tournament play. Killian Hayes, 6'6". He'll play a lot of minutes, but he's not very good. Marvin Bagley played a ton last game. He's reasonable for tournaments. Wiseman, Duren, they're splitting the center position. Both fine GPP plays. Wouldn't prioritize either. Duren's played a little bit more of late. 25-28 minutes for him. Livers will play a lot, but the price point, I don't think I can do that. Joseph, Amore, round out the rotation. Don't think it's necessary. On the Thunder side, it comes down to SGA, right? If SGA's in, I think it would mainly be him, a little bit interested in Giddy and the guard Jalen Williams, and a little bit interested in Dort. Now, if SGA is out, then that changes things, right? Then Giddy and the guard Jalen Williams and Dort look a lot better. Isaiah Joe couldn't miss tonight. He's a guy that if he's making his shots, has that ceiling, but if he misses his shots, has a low floor. The big Jalen Williams, at that price point, don't think I can do it. You did see Pokashevsky finally get dusted off. So I probably won't mess with the big rotation, but I would say the main 4 guys would be for sure in play for me if SGA does not play. 4 games to go, Clippers and Grizzlies. So no Paul George, no Marcus Morris. We've got to keep an eye on the status of Norman Powell. He might be back. That's pretty important. If Powell's back, I'm completely staying away from the secondary options here for the Clippers. But top end guys, I still have interest in Kawhi and I still have interest in Westbrook. I expect close to 40 minutes from Kawhi. I expect Westbrook to play mid-30s minutes if the game stays competitive. So I like those 2 guys. I don't think either will be super popular. Gordon and Batum feel priced about right. And if Norman Powell's in, they feel a bit overpriced. Zubac, Plumlee, they're splitting the center position. Both are fine tournament plays. Bones has got extended the last 3 games. Every single game's been a massive blowout. So I'd be a little bit careful with Bones Highland. Don't expect those type of minutes every single night. And I'm not going to get to Terrence Mann. For Memphis, it comes down to John Morant. If John Morant's in, I think Ja, assuming no limitations, would be a decent play. If Ja's out, then we can go right back to Tyus Jones, who I know was a little bit disappointing today. But I think he'd still be too cheap at 6'2". Bane and Triple J would be viable. However, they both got a price hike. Bane to 8.4, Triple J to 8.6. Brooks at 5.6. Feels priced right. Kennard has been smashing off the bench. But he's 5.4K, so there's really not a ton that stands out for me for Memphis. I would say Jones would be the guy if there's no Ja, and then a little bit interested in those top-end guys. Utah and the Spurs. Well, now you got 2 teams tanking, trying to lose. Battle of 2 awful teams. You're going to get some value for DFS for sure. We'll keep an eye on the status of Markkanen and Fontecchio. If they are both out, this team is really shorthanded. I would guess they go with the starting lineup of THT, Abachi, JTA, Olynyk, Kessler, if both Fontecchio and Markkanen are out. If in that scenario, Kessler, THT, Olynyk will kind of run the offensive. I think Olynyk would be my favorite play. You did see mid-30s minutes for THT last game. That's appealing. He's been kind of hovering the high 20s minute range. Dunn would play whatever, THT doesn't play, maybe play a little bit alongside of him. Abachi dealt with massive foul trouble last game, but he would probably play 30-plus minutes. And then, both Fontecchio and Markkanen are out, and JTA starts, and yes, you can play him, but he just really doesn't do a ton off on the court. And then the backup center, it will be either Azubuike or Jones. I don't have a good read right now. You might see a little bit of Juzang or Brantley, but I don't think I'm going to mess with the bench guys there for the Jazz. And if Markkanen and Fontecchio are both in, then I would say mainly just have interest in Markkanen. I guess still have a little bit of interest in guys like Kessler and THT, but Markkanen being in would really hurt this team. For the Spurs, they're resting a lot of guys. No surprise. No Keldon, no Vassell, no Jeremy Sohan. So I think you get the starting lineup of Jones, Branham, Bates, Diop, Collins, and probably Langford is the 5th starter. With that being said, I like Zach Collins in a competitive game, assuming no foul trouble. He should play around 30 minutes. Should be able to have his way against his front court. I like Trey Jones in competitive games. He should also see around 30 minutes. I like Jones. I like Jones. I like Collins. Bates-Diop most likely starts if the game stays close. Should play high 20s minutes. He's reasonable. Branham will start, probably play mid to high 20s minutes. If the game blows out, he usually closes in a blowout. Devontae Graham should play the backup guard position, probably play low 20s minutes off the bench. I have some interest in him for GPPs. Langford probably starts, would be my guess. I think he'd be playable. Probably wouldn't see a ton of run, though. Mamuklish Failu will play the backup 5. You'll see some McDermott, Wesley, Barlow, probably Champagne off the bench. This team still has a lot of bodies. I think of like the bench guys, probably either Graham and McDermott would be the guys I would look to. Minnesota, Phoenix, so kind of tough for me to get to anyone on the Minnesota side. This game in general just looks pretty unappealing. Tougher spot here. Ant and Cat both expected to play. A lot of these guys priced up from when one or both were out. So I'm just going to be honest, I have very little interest in this team in general. If you want to target one of these main guys in tournaments, hope they have an outlier game. Sure, but I'll probably just be crossing this game off. Phoenix, KD expected back. A lot of these guys priced up from when KD was out. You want to go to Booker, Paul, Ayton, hope they have, a big game with KD in, sure. I mean, we did see some big games from Booker with KD in, but for me, probably I'll just be crossing this game off. And then the wings, we don't really have to mess with now with KD, most likely in. Guys like Okogie and Craig and, Warren and Ross, I'll just stay away. Finally, Sacramento, Portland. So tricky. This game definitely has some blowout risk, but if the game stays competitive, I like the ceiling on Sabonis and Fox. They should be able to feast against this Portland Trailblazers team. The issue is just, can Portland keep it competitive? Because this Blazers team is horrific right now. I'm not going to get to the wings of Herder, Barnes, Murray. I don't really think I get to anyone else. Monk will play off the bench if he plays well. He kind of a ceiling game, but I just don't know if I want to go there at a 10-game slate. Finally, Portland. So we have to have interest in this team. We have to. 9 active guys, most likely. Watford, Reddish, both doubtful. So Sharp 1, Little 2, Johnson 3, Eubanks 4, Walker 5, Knox 6, Thibault 7, Arcidiacono 8, John Butler 9. So I think the starting lineup will be Arcidiacono, Shaedon Sharp, Matisse Thybulle, Little, and Eubanks. Now, of the top end guys, I think Sharp's my favorite because here's the thing with Shaedon Sharp. He's going to play either way. He's going to play in a competitive game, and he's going to play in a blowout. So his minutes are relatively secure. Like, he got massive foul trouble last game and closed in a blowout. So I still have interest in Shaedon Sharp. He'll chuck when he's out there. The price point feels a little high, but again, he's going to play big minutes no matter what. Now, this group of Little, Eubanks, Arcidiacono, Thibault, those are probably the guys that get benched if they get blown out. So there's a little bit more risk there. But if the game stays competitive, I expect 30-ish minutes from all these guys. And I see Little only played 20 minutes last game. It was the massive blowout, but we saw the ceiling from him 2 games ago. Eubanks, we saw the ceiling from him 2 games ago as well. Played limited minutes last game because of the massive blowout. But, if the game stays close, I like him quite a bit. Thibault, 3-8. Minutes for him has still not been great. Arcidiacono, even in competitive games, minutes haven't been great. So those two are a little bit tougher to get to. Off the bench, you should get, again, John Butler, who won for 1 fantasy point in 17 minutes, Summer League legend, Kevin Knox, Jabbar Walker, Keon Johnson. Knox only 4-2, played 30-plus minutes last game. Again, played a lot of minutes in garbage time, but he's actually not a bad point per minute guy. He'll chuck when he's out there. Same with Keon Johnson. He'll play backup point. He'll be productive when he's on the court. And then Jabbar Walker, not a bad point per minute guy. I actually had a really, really bad game for 25 minutes for him. If you give him 25 minutes again, he's a fancy point per minute guy. I could see him having a good game too. So I think getting the Blazers right is going to be the key to the slate, whether you're playing for a competitive game or whether you're playing for the blowout. So yeah, that's going to do it for the 10-game slate, guys. Again, $1 million up top in the big tournament, $3,000 entry. If any of you guys are playing, good luck. I'll probably have a couple people in my Discord playing. I don't think I'll fire it up, but I guess you never know. But yeah, appreciate all the support. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next video.